Season 2, Episode 1. A year has passed since Oliver Queen returned to Starling City and embraced his identity as the Green Arrow. Though he's saved many lives, the weight of what he's lost continues to haunt him. Oliver is tormented by visions of those he couldn't save. Katie, the girl he failed to protect, and Matthew, the friend he was forced to kill. Their faces haunt him at every turn, in reflections, on rooftops, even during combat. The ghosts of his past are beginning to crack his focus. One night on patrol, Oliver hesitates after seeing Katie's face on a bystander. That split second of doubt nearly costs him his life when he's ambushed by a new and dangerous gang taking hold of the city. Back at home, Tommy Merlin and Oliver's family sense something is wrong. He's grown colder, more ruthless, drifting further from the man they once knew. At the same time, we're introduced to Detective Quentin Lance, a hard-edged veteran cop, and his daughter Dinah Lance, a driven new officer on the force. Neither believes the Green Arrow is a hero. To them, he's a vigilante menace that must be unmasked and stopped. The episode builds to a tense finale. Dinah corners the Green Arrow in a dark alley, nearly catching him. But Oliver uses a smoke arrow to vanish into the night, leaving Dinah enraged and more determined than ever to uncover the man behind the mask. Episode 2. The episode opens on a shadowy figure wearing a black hood, eerily similar to the Green Arrow's. This mysterious intruder breaks into Star Labs under the cover of night. Inside, they steal a powerful energy core, injuring several guards and leaving Dr. Harrison Wells in a coma after a brutal confrontation. Cut to Thea Queen, who's spiraling. We see her at a party with friends, experimenting with drugs, clearly trying to numb something inside. Meanwhile, Oliver continues his nightly crusade, taking down small criminal operations. After stopping one group, he finds a flash drive on one of the bodies. When analyzed, it links the gang to the recent robbery at Star Labs. Determined to learn more, Oliver investigates but keeps hitting dead ends. The lab's security systems were expertly disabled, and with Wells unconscious, there are no leads. Frustration builds, and the burden of his past continues to haunt him. Memories of his island companions, Katie, Matthew, plague his thoughts, making it harder to stay focused. Despite this, he pushes on. The episode ends with Oliver interrogating a wounded criminal connected to the robbery. Bloodied and fearful, the man gives Oliver just one name, the Dark Archer. Simultaneously, Tommy Merlin tries again to reach Oliver, calling, texting, even visiting his home, but gets no response. Oliver is fading further into the mask. Episode 3. The episode opens with Oliver Queen burying himself in his Green Arrow persona, using the fight against crime as a way to silence the torment of his past. He's more aggressive than ever, reckless, almost self-destructive, as if daring death to catch up with him. When whispers of unusual activity at Star Labs reach him, Oliver heads to Central City, hoping for answers. Operating in the shadows, he infiltrates the lab, only to find himself at gunpoint, face-to-face with Dr. Caitlin Snow. Though she doesn't recognize his face, his presence gives him away. He's the infamous vigilante from Star City. Cautiously intrigued by his reputation, Caitlin agrees to help. She shows him recovered footage from the night of the Star Labs break-in. What it reveals is chilling. The Dark Archer wasn't alone. An intern was attacked that same night and barely escaped alive. That intern? Barry Allen. Oliver tracks Barry to his cluttered, overworked apartment. A brilliant young forensic scientist with a deep fascination for vigilantes and metahumans, Barry is stunned to meet the Green Arrow, but eager to help. He recounts the night in detail. The Dark Archer moved with eerie speed and precision, as searching for something hidden within the lab. Whatever it was, Barry never saw it. Back in Star City, Oliver returns to patrol, now more tense and paranoid, sensing something is coming. That night, the Dark Archer strikes. The two face off in a savage rooftop battle. The Dark Archer is faster, stronger, and unnervingly familiar with Oliver's tactics, anticipating his every move. Outmatched and bleeding, Oliver barely escapes, leaping from the rooftop into the river below. He washes up on the shore, battered and gasping for breath. Above him, the Dark Archer stands, watching and smiling. Now that his enemy knows who he is, the stakes have changed. Paranoia creeps in. Thea, Moira, Tommy. No one is safe. But before he can act, he's attacked again in a shadowed alley, wounded and unprepared. The fight is quick, brutal, and nearly fatal. Oliver survives, but only just. And he knows now, this war has only just begun. Episode 4. 2 weeks pass under a fragile calm. Oliver continues patrolling as the Green Arrow, but the burden of his double life and the looming threat of the Dark Archer is taking its toll. At home, Moira struggles to reconnect with Thea, who's spiraling deeper into her addiction. Their conversations turn into confrontation. Thea lashes out, accusing Moira of lies, betrayal, and bearing the truth about Oliver's disappearance and the family's many secrets. Moira tries to hold her daughter together, but Thea is slipping further away. Tommy, meanwhile, keeps trying to reach Oliver. He knows something is wrong. His best friend is colder, distant, and it's not just about the past anymore. But every time Tommy calls, Oliver pushes him away. During another tense night on patrol, Oliver is ambushed by the Dark Archer once more. This time, the fight is shorter, but more personal. The Dark Archer lands a brutal blow, stabbing Oliver through the shoulder. As Oliver stumbles back in pain, his enemy leans in with a quiet, devastating whisper. "I know who you are, Oliver Queen." Then he disappears into the night, leaving Oliver bleeding and shaken. The episode builds to a devastating close. At the Queen Mansion, Tommy arrives unannounced, only to find Thea unconscious in her bedroom from an overdose. Panic overtakes him as he calls for help, his voice cracking with fear. Across the city, Oliver limps into his base, barely able to stay on his feet. He tries to treat his wound, forcing himself to stay awake, to stay strong, but his body gives out, and he collapses. As the screen fades to black, Tommy stares at his phone, filled with unanswered texts and calls. Frustration builds, but so does something deeper, worry. He's no longer sure if Oliver is ignoring him, or if something much worse is happening. Episode 5. At the hospital, Thea's condition worsens. Her overdose has left her in critical condition, clinging to life on machines. Moira, crushed by guilt and helplessness, is barely holding herself together. It's Tommy who steps up, managing the crisis, speaking with doctors, and trying to keep the Queen family from falling apart. Meanwhile, Oliver wakes in his hidden base, groggy and bleeding. Still weak from his wounds, he stumbles home, expecting some sense of normalcy. But the mansion is quiet, empty. He has no idea that Thea is in the hospital fighting for her life. Before he can process anything, Oliver is ambushed by a group of armed men. Running purely on instinct and adrenaline, he fights them off in a violent, desperate encounter, disarming one and killing the rest. Shaken and confused, he's left with more questions. Who were they? Who sent them? Why now? Back at the hospital, Tommy finally reaches Oliver. His voice is frantic, bordering on rage as he tells Oliver about Thea's overdose and begs him to come. Oliver wastes no time. Despite his injuries, he rushes to the hospital. There, Tommy meets him outside Thea's room, furious, heartbroken, and barely keeping it together. The confrontation is immediate. You disappeared, Tommy says. You left her. You left us, and now she might die. Oliver tries to explain, but Tommy's had enough of excuses. The argument ends with Tommy walking away, leaving Oliver alone in the hallway. Inside the hospital room, Oliver sees Thea for the first time, pale, unconscious, surrounded by machines keeping her alive. The sight hits him harder than any arrow or bullet ever could. For a brief moment, everything fades. The island, the mission, the mask. All that remains is his sister, fragile, broken, and possibly slipping away. He sits by her bedside, guilt overwhelming him. He realizes how far he's drifted from the people who matter most. In that quiet moment, he promises himself he won't fail her again. But Oliver isn't alone. Unseen, a figure stands in the shadows just outside the hospital room, watching intently, calculating. The camera pans slowly, revealing his face. In it, Malcolm Merlyn. Episode 6. Several weeks have passed since Thea's overdose. She's finally stable enough to leave the hospital, but her recovery is far from over. As part of her healing, she's being sent to a rehabilitation center out of town. At the hospital, Oliver and Thea share a quiet, emotional moment. After everything they've been through, the walls between them finally come down. I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me, Oliver says. You're here now, Thea replies. The two embrace, and for the first time in a long while, there's hope between them. It's a heartfelt reconciliation, but also a goodbye. Oliver watches as his sister is wheeled out, knowing this will be the last time he sees her for a while. As the elevator doors close, a part of him feels emptier, but more resolved. With Thea gone, Oliver throws himself back into his mission as the Green Arrow. Star City's criminal underworld is shifting again. New threats, new gangs, and whispers of larger organizations moving in the shadows. Then he gets a call from Barry Allen. Barry has been digging into the Dark Archer incident and found something. A suspicious tip pointing directly to Merlyn Global. One of their employees may have ties to the break-in at Star Labs. Oliver follows the lead, posing as a potential investor to access the building. He gathers intel and starts connecting dots, growing more certain that Malcolm Merlyn's company is at the center of it all. But before he can dig any deeper, he's ambushed. The Dark Archer strikes again. This time, Oliver is ready. Though still outmatched, he uses his environment to his advantage, escaping through a collapsing scaffolding and vanishing into the night. Bruised but alive, Oliver knows one thing for sure now. Malcolm Merlyn isn't just behind the mask. He's playing a much bigger game. Episode 7. Oliver Queen continues his relentless pursuit of the mysterious figure known only as the Dark Archer. Plagued by unanswered questions and growing suspicions, Oliver delves deeper into the shadows of Star City, determined to uncover the Dark Archer's true identity and understand what drives his violent crusade. The investigation consumes him, pulling him further into the moral gray areas he swore he'd avoid, blurring the line between justice and vengeance. Despite this central mystery, Oliver hasn't lost sight of his broader mission: to clean up the city's streets and dismantle the criminal underworld that continues to thrive in his absence. One name quickly rises to the top of his list: Vertigo, a notorious drug dealer who has been flooding the city with a dangerous new substance. Oliver's personal stake in this case becomes painfully clear when he learns that Vertigo's product is responsible for Thea's recent overdose. Racked with guilt over not being able to protect his sister and furious at those exploiting the vulnerable, Oliver sets out to find Vertigo and shut him down for good. Using his resources and connections, Oliver tracks down Vertigo's network, uncovering a hidden drug lab deep in the industrial district. In a tense and brutal confrontation, Oliver takes out Vertigo's guards with calculated precision, destroys the lab, and finally confronts Vertigo himself. The two face off in a fast-paced and chaotic fight that ends with Oliver gaining the upper hand. He leaves Vertigo battered and broken, handing him over to the authorities. Though Thea is safe, Oliver's actions carry the weight of his conflicted conscience. Was this justice or revenge? Meanwhile, Dinah Drake and Captain Quentin Lance escalate their task force's efforts to capture the vigilante they believe is a growing threat to public safety. Using forensic evidence, surveillance footage, and old connections from their days on the force, they begin to close in. Their pursuit leads them to a heart-pounding rooftop chase through the heart of downtown Star City. Oliver, caught off guard, is forced to flee. As he narrowly escapes into the night, he and Dinah lock eyes in a fleeting but emotionally charged moment. There's something in the way they look at each other: confusion, familiarity, maybe even unspoken understanding, that suggests a bond neither of them can fully explain. As the dust settles, the episode shifts to a darker subplot. Cynthia, recovering in a rehabilitation facility after surviving a dangerous ordeal, begins to let her guard down, believing she is finally safe. But the calm is shattered when a group of masked assailants infiltrates the facility, attacking her with brutal efficiency. Unbeknownst to Cynthia, these men were sent by Malcolm Merlyn, who sees her as a threat to his growing plans. Despite fighting back with fierce determination, Cynthia is overwhelmed and left gravely injured. Though she clings to life, the attack is a stark reminder that Malcolm's influence runs deep, and he's willing to eliminate anyone who stands in his way. The episode ends with multiple storylines hanging in tension. Oliver standing on the edge of becoming the very thing he fights against, Dinah grappling with her feelings about the man she's supposed to arrest, and Cynthia teetering between life and death. The threats are growing, and the shadows of Star City are darker than ever. Episode 8. The episode opens with Oliver and his mother confronting the owner of the rehab facility where Thea was attacked. Tension runs high as Oliver demands answers. How could something like this happen under their care? Why was there no security or proper supervision? The facility owner stumbles through vague explanations, offering no real accountability. Frustrated and enraged, Oliver storms out, determined to get justice for his sister. That night, unable to let it go, Oliver breaks into the facility on his own. Moving through the darkened halls, he uncovers clues and security footage the staff either missed or ignored. Through his investigation, he tracks down the men responsible for the attack on Thea. After a tense and violent confrontation, Oliver gets them to talk. He learns they were hired to hurt Thea, but not for money. Their payment was in the form of a powerful and dangerous drug, Vertigo. This revelation leads Oliver to the prison where the drug dealer Vertigo is still being held. Initially, it seems impossible. How could a man behind bars orchestrate something like this? But as Oliver digs deeper, he uncovers a chilling truth. Someone is funding Vertigo's operation from the outside, allowing him to continue dealing even from within prison walls. Determined to uncover who's pulling the strings, Oliver pushes forward with his investigation. Every lead points to someone with power, wealth, and a vested interest in keeping Thea silent. By the end of the episode, Oliver puts the final pieces together, and the truth is more personal than he ever imagined. The man behind it all is Malcolm Merlyn. Driven by fury and a need for answers, Oliver goes to confront Merlyn at his estate. But what he discovers there changes everything. Malcolm Merlyn isn't just a corrupt businessman. He's the Dark Archer, the mysterious and deadly figure Oliver has been hunting from the beginning. The episode closes on Oliver's stunned expression as he realizes the scope of the betrayal, and that the enemy he's been chasing is closer than he ever thought possible. Episode 9. The episode picks up immediately where the last one left off. Oliver is caught in the act by Tommy, who pulls a gun on the hooded vigilante, unaware it's his best friend beneath the mask. With adrenaline surging and tension thick in the air, Tommy demands the Green Arrow reveal himself. Left with no other choice, Oliver slowly removes his hood, revealing his identity. Tommy is stunned, frozen by the weight of the revelation. Before he can process what it means or decide what to do, Oliver seizes the moment and knocks him out, reluctantly, before making his escape. There's no time to lose. He has one objective now: find Malcolm Merlyn. Meanwhile, we cut to a glamorous charity gala, where Malcolm is attending alongside Moira Queen. The event is pristine, the guests are elegant, and Malcolm appears the perfect gentleman. But danger is lurking just beyond the champagne and small talk. In the background, someone is silently and methodically taking out the event's security one by one. Oliver arrives at the venue just as the pieces begin to fall into place. He makes his way through the crowd and unexpectedly comes face to face with both Malcolm and his mother. The moment is heavy with unspoken truths. Oliver knows Malcolm is the Dark Archer, and Malcolm now suspects that Oliver is the Green Arrow. Moira, caught in the middle, senses something is wrong. Before the confrontation can escalate, chaos erupts. Gunfire suddenly rings out, and panic spreads through the guests. The attacker reveals himself. It's Deadshot, the deadly assassin, sent to eliminate a high-value target. Oliver acts fast, ushering his mother to safety before suiting up for the fight. A brutal showdown between Oliver and Deadshot ensues, filled with explosive action and close calls. Despite being outgunned, Oliver manages to outmaneuver the assassin. The battle concludes with Deadshot being subdued and taken into custody. But the victory comes at a cost. As the dust settles, emergency crews arrive. It's revealed that while Oliver saved many lives, several people weren't so lucky. The attack claimed a few innocent victims, leaving a somber shadow over the night's events. Episode 10. The episode opens with a flash forward. In the heart of the Glades, we see Roy Harper, charismatic, quick-witted, and well-known in the neighborhood. He greets locals with casual charm, helping a kid fix his bike and trading jokes with a vendor. But as Roy walks home through the narrow streets, a sudden tremor ripples through the ground. The shaking intensifies. Sirens wail. People scream. Buildings begin to collapse. Roy dives to protect a nearby child just as debris crashes down around them. Smash cut to black. Several hours earlier. We return to the present, where Oliver is reeling from the aftermath of Deadshot's attack at the gala. With the assassin taken into custody and the death toll weighing heavily on him, Oliver focuses his attention on Malcolm Merlyn. Digging deeper into Malcolm's plans, Oliver uncovers the horrifying truth. Malcolm intends to destroy the Glades using a series of underground bombs planted throughout the district. The attack is imminent. Racing against time, Oliver descends into the sewers, navigating the tunnels beneath the Glades. After a tense and dangerous search, he locates the explosives and successfully disables the majority of them. But he knows it's not over. Malcolm won't give up that easily. Tracking him down to an abandoned building downtown, Oliver confronts Malcolm. A brutal and emotionally charged fight ensues. Malcolm quickly gains the upper hand and, with a cold smile, reveals a failsafe, a hidden detonator that bypasses the bomb disarmament. He presses it without hesitation. But just as the button clicks, a shot rings out. Malcolm collapses, shot in the shoulder. Tommy stands in the doorway, gun trembling in his hand. He's discovered the full extent of his father's madness and made a choice. Tommy turns to Oliver. "Go," he says. "Save who you can. I'll stay with him." Oliver rushes into the streets of the Glades as buildings collapse and chaos unfolds. We return to Roy Harper's flash forward. Just as he's about to be crushed by falling debris, the Green Arrow swoops in, grabbing Roy and pulling him to safety. No words are exchanged, just a stunned look of gratitude from Roy as Oliver vanishes into the smoke to rescue others. Malcolm is taken into custody, his plan foiled, his legacy in ruins. In a quiet moment, Tommy and Oliver talk. Tommy agrees to keep Oliver's secret, having seen firsthand the weight he carries and the good he's trying to do. The season closes with Oliver, this time as Oliver Queen, standing at a press conference in the Glades. He announces that Queen Industries will be leading a major reconstruction effort to rebuild what was lost. As construction begins and hope flickers in the community, Oliver watches from a distance, silently promising to do more. Not just as the Green Arrow, but as a man who now understands the true cost of doing nothing. But in one final scene, we cut to Central City, where forensic scientist Barry Allen is working late in his lab. A sudden lightning bolt crashes through the window, striking Barry and sending him hurtling into a rack of volatile chemicals. As the sparks and fluid swirl around him, and that where this season comes to an end,